Are you ready for inspiration and insights that spark your imagination and explode your entrepreneurial dreams into a highly successful business and a purpose-filled life? Then you should join the movement. The new generation of founders, entrepreneurs, and CEOs who've burned the bridges of the status quo and are passionately pursuing their destiny. But instead of blind ambition that results in mediocrity, we use strategic, direct response, and digital marketing strategies that work like alchemy to attract more leads, more sales, more profits.
And while so many small business owners and self-employed professionals get stuck in the 24/7 grind, we apply smart business automation that frees us up to work on our business and not just in it. Finally, while too many spend their days fighting an endless tirade of fires and living under stress, anxiety, exhaustion, and frustration, we build integrated life plans and fill our daily schedule with significance and deeply held values. We use our financial prosperity and strategies for wise living to enjoy what everyone wants but few achieve, life autonomy.
Welcome to the Life and Launches podcast. I am your host, Anthony Obi.
And I'm your host, Crystal Obi. You're going to love what we have to share in today's episode. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, we want to welcome you to the very first episode of the Life and Launches podcast.
Thank you so much to family, friends, colleagues for being excited about this day finally being here. We're looking forward to answering all the questions we've received and helping all the people who've asked for help. And we're just excited to be here. Our whole family is involved in this. So thank you everybody who's taking any time to listen to this. And we hope that we can be of super value to you and your vision and your dreams.
Family, my parents, my dad, my mom, your mom, friends, like, where's the episode? Where's my link? And that has just been super helpful as we have been trying to just get things done so that we can get to the point where we are actually able to sit down and record the first episode. If anybody out there has anything that you're trying to launch, we definitely understand the hustle and the grind that it takes just to get to that point where you can get things going to birth your vision. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about. For one, in the broader series, in the broader sense of what we want to do on the Life and Launches podcast. But also just today, just sort of outlined for you what the Life and Launches podcast is all about, who it's for, and what the outlook of the show is going to be about, what topics we're going to actually talk about. So we're going to take a look at some of those things now.
Yeah, I think it's really important as we establish the show to, how we thanked our family, friends, and everything. And it's like we have been in this for so long. Whenever we were actually walking through it, we were the people who were having to be, against and rebels and just kind of being different, off the beaten path. People, I remember back in the day, we used to go to a dinner party, a birthday party, and people would say, what is copywriting? What is, digital marketing or online marketing, or, oh, you're going to do this on the internet. And you were steadily working for, all these different places that were doing things that are so mainstream now. And so we're in the process of making that transition from being people who are doing things that are unknown to being people who are experienced in things that are popular to everybody coming up now. And so you have been doing digital marketing before it was even called like digital marketing. We didn't even used to refer to it like that. And so your experience in that, and my experience doing, just trying to manage life as we're doing those things, we have this great experience while we're here today. And so it's all together into one life. And that's why we're here doing this show.
Yeah. And that just sort of gets into what the Life and Launches podcast is all about. There's 4 things that I'll say that we'll sort of define as our targeted topics, and that every topic is going to be a jump off point for in this podcast. 1, direct response marketing strategies in a digital marketing world.
I think that's really important that you made that distinction, because direct response marketing, you started when you were literally doing, yellow page ads.
Yeah.
And I remember whenever people were start talking about this new thing called Google ads.
Right.
And so you were doing newspaper ads, yellow page ads,
Yeah.
and all these things. And then you were learning about all this Google ads and online marketing.
Right.
And you had to transition, from offline to online, but using the same direct response strategies. And that is why so many of your clients always like to work with you, because going from one industry to the next, going from offline to online, that is a really big deal.
Yeah.
And so now the digital marketing world is so huge, but the direct response marketing and the digital marketing world, those are really, two different skill sets that you have to master. I think that's important that you.
Yeah. And the direct response marketing framework is what's best utilized to yield the highest results with any sort of digital marketing strategy, social media marketing strategy that you may have.
Yeah, I remember whenever social media marketing became a thing.
Yeah.
And ultimately, from where we come from, every business owner, whether you're doing something offline, online, with social media, without social media, every single business owner needs leads.
That's right.
And so that's what kept, that's what puts food on the table.
That's right.
You got to make some leads.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we going to do it, with Facebook, with YouTube? Remember MySpace back in the day? Yeah. Now, people's on TikTok. We don't really care. Right. It's about how can this business owner get some leads?
That's right.
Utilizing the media.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's going to be one of the primary areas that we talk about, because that is how we have worked for the last 15 years as a direct response copywriter and marketing consultant with around 300 or so entrepreneurs, startups, existing business owners, CEOs, digital marketing experts. We've helped them either start from scratch or take their multiple six-figure, seven-figure, or eight-figure business to the next level. We've helped them make over marketing campaigns and sales and marketing funnels that were not yielding the results that they wanted to, and take it step by step to re-engineer what's working, what's not working, get rid of what's not working, and really hammer in on what is working to yield more leads and more sales, more traffic to their landing pages and to their web pages, more leads onto their email list, and more sales in their bank account. That's the work that we've been doing for the last 15 years, since 2008. And that 2008 time period was really what you were talking about earlier, Crystal. That was the time where marketing campaigns were really going from offline media to online media. And so a lot of the campaigns that we worked on and built incorporated both.
Yeah, they were both. Because back then, you had to sell people the idea that they needed a website.
Right.
I mean, do you remember back then?
Yeah.
It was entrepreneurs. You really need to have a website. Oh,
right.
No, I'll be fine. I just want to do direct mail.
Yeah.
I just want to, do my yellow pages. I want to do my newspaper advertising. And they really wanted to invest in all these offline things, which that's fine. Yeah. But we were having to tell them, look, you really need to be looking at these opportunities on the internet as well. Mm-hmm. And even better, an integrated approach of doing both would actually be best.
Yeah.
But in order to, not lose your shirt, you need to have some skill and have a strategy. And so that was the name of the game. And if you remember, we were also in recession. Yes. And so entrepreneurs were having to utilize the skills online, offline, and manage a recession. And that is why the skill set of direct response marketing became just so critical, because you get, where every dollar is going. Everything is tracked, in every advertisement is, it's either working or it's not. You're testing, you're getting results, and, it had to be very focused. And so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to dig into that and talk more about that. Another thing we're going to be talking about is the integration, the crossroads of entrepreneurship and marketing with incorporating your life. And that gets into life coaching, Crystal, which is what you're an expert in. So the integration of digital marketing and marketing and business growth, starting and growing a business, and how that intersects with successful living and really cultivating the life that you want from the business. It's amazing how you start off on the track to build a business because you want to take back control of your life. But what happens in the process, when things get tough, or when marketing doesn't work out, or whenever you start getting employees and things get crazy, you get to reach that point of overwhelm. And from there, you move into a place where you're literally just trying to survive. You're trying to stay afloat. And then when you start succeeding, you get used to this, back against the wall sort of mentality. And so you never really make the adjustment to building the lifestyle that you really started off wanting to get on your entrepreneurial journey. You lose all of that. And so what you are offering as a life coach and I know you're going to talk more about your credentials and what you're doing and all of your education and what you're getting in life coaching, but you being an entrepreneur for 20 years and then having degrees in life coaching, you're really focused on focusing all of your life coaching expertise and knowledge and all of the tools that you have towards entrepreneurs. I mean, that is a group, a segment of a society, a segment of people who really need help and direction with bringing back that balance.
Yeah, what so excites me about it is because as we've lived it, we've been together for so long, we've had to make decisions based on, okay, so what's our goal? And then also, well, what do we want personally? Mm-hmm. And the people who come to us for help, that's what they're dealing with. And it's really hard sometimes to find help whenever you're on the path to your business success to understand, well, you may be making a decision on, okay, do I take this time? Is this the time where I hustle and grind and get my business done? Or is this the time where I don't? I go to, my kids, event, or I go ahead and rest, or I go ahead and just take a day off. You don't really know unless you have some time to really think about it. You don't really know which one you should be doing. And so that's what excites me the most is working with people in the entrepreneurial context, because whenever you have a strategic life plan and then you know where you're going, then it makes it easier for you to be able to know, is this the time where I rest or is this the time where I hustle? Because it requires that. Sometimes you just have to overcome challenges and you just have to get it done because you're a leader. People are depending on you. You have, staff, you have teams that are depending on you to show up and deliver. And then sometimes in order for you to not burn out and crash everything for everybody else, you have to take that time to rest and be rejuvenated. And that balance, I actually love bringing the order to the chaos. Yeah. And entrepreneurs have to understand from day one that on the path to trying to get that order, to have that control in life, that autonomy, it comes with a ton of chaos, but it does not have to be crazy. And so we have experienced a lot of joy in life, even through the hardest times, even through the just biggest decisions. And even whenever we were able to move to Texas, we were able to open up a map and say, we can move anywhere we want to. Oh, just look, where do we want to be? Where do we want to have kids?
And that was because the reason why we gained that freedom is because on our entrepreneurial journey, we were in offline businesses at earlier in our business career, in our 20s. We were in offline businesses. But then we got into online businesses around 2004, 2005 area and moved more and more into doing online business. And that's where we started our real online marketing education is around that 2004, 2005 area. And so moving forward, becoming a full-time digital marketing strategist and direct response copywriter, working with business owners literally around the world, from Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and the US. Well, now we have the freedom. We gain the freedom to be able to move anywhere.
And a lot of people now are experiencing that freedom because of the pandemic. It was forced on them, and then they experienced it. Right. Or they have been learning, taking courses, and being told this. And we experienced that back then, and we're able to say, where do we want to be? Where do we want to raise our kids that we didn't even have yet? Because we had a life plan, and we picked, Texas. Yeah. And so we decided to go ahead wherever we could have a laptop. And so we were already able to make those decisions based on seeing the potential in what could be offered in a digital world. Mm-hmm. And so, but because we were so much earlier, then we had to be, more against the grain and everything. Yeah. But now we see a whole generation that needs to be taught. So how do you manage this in this changing economy? I mean, at our age, we've got a chance to go through a lot of different, events like 9/11 and, recessions and things. Right. People, our age have had to go through a lot of things in a changing economy, and they need a support supportive person to tell them, hey, it's okay to have this dream. It's okay to take this time for yourself. Self-care is a big thing. Self-care is about taking the time to do the daily things, but it's also about taking the time to live your big dreams. Yeah. And so navigating all that, it is so important to have people who understand what you're going through, understand why you're making the decisions that you're making, and can help you and encourage you and show you some tools on how to make it easier. And that's what I really love about it. I keep running towards the fire, and so do you. Yeah. And so that's why we're here. We had no idea digital was going to be this big at all either. Yeah. We just kept staying and people just kept asking for help. And here we are now. We're going to help people through this here podcast as much as we can.
That's right. And so one last thing that we're going to be integrating. So we talked about how we're going to be integrating conversations about business growth and a life well lived, so that you can cultivate a life well lived. But also another aspect is wealth creation. I mean, when I think about all of the business owners that we worked with across all these years, and where a lot of business owners are at, we get so OCD about growing the business and about the next marketing campaign that we forget that our overall desire from the business was to build wealth, was to really accelerate our income so that we can invest and have a more stable financial future, more prosperous financial existence, life freedom as well as financial freedom. That is the desire. But so many lose it on the road to that success because it becomes about get more leads, make more sales, and it just gets lost in there. And so we want to bring back that aspect of things, because regardless of where you are on your journey, you can start taking steps towards building wealth right now.
Yeah, I think that's important that you're talking about those different steps, because there's different groups of people on the entrepreneurial journey, and we've worked with all of them. Yeah. From the people who are just literally, I have an idea, or I'm working a job, I have an idea, maybe I'll start it as a side hustle, or to the person who's running $100 million company and needs to still get new campaigns, change their business, needs to go to that next level. No matter where anyone is, they are always looking to go to the next level. And so, do you want to talk a little bit about some of those different levels of people?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So our ideal target audience starts with beginners and founders. If you are currently in a job or a career and you're looking at launching a side business or a main business, and you need help with that initial launch, our podcast is Life and Launches, the Life and Launches podcast. That's what we do. We're the Life and Launches podcast, so we help you launch from scratch, and I've worked with literally probably 100 people or so in the last 15 years at that very beginning stage.
And that's like from scratch with no list, just cold marketing, like gotta research and build a list or buy a list or some kind of way.
They don't have a brand name. They don't have a logo. They don't even know. They have a few ideas that they're tossing up in their head.
And then you have to walk them through that.
Yeah.
Because they literally have maybe responded to an ad and have like, wow, I could maybe do this, and are just interested and have been bold and courageous enough to take that next step. Yeah. And then they need to figure out how to go from making their first dollar to maybe, having a sustainable side income or a full-time income. Yeah. So anybody at that level we've worked with.
And so we would say officially the dollar range that you may be in that beginning founder stage from idea to launch is going to be from $0 to $250,000 a year in sales.
Because at that level, you can do a lot yourself. Yes. And a lot of that's just going to come from your hustle, your grind, your initial connections and things. You may not be dependent on advertising or anything. You can use a lot of marketing strategies that are very easy to implement, very quick, and just a lot of your put your back into it and just get it done.
A lot of elbow grease. You may have 1 to 2 employees. If you're in some sort of an offline service business, you may have a couple of Yeah, around that level, 1 or 2 employees or
Yeah.
so. Maybe just a part-time person,
Mm-hmm.
executive assistant, and one other person. But you're really still in that beginning phase at that level. Then we would go on to what we would call the solopreneur level. That is from at that level, you're really in the phase of overwhelmed, trying to get to a place of stability, and your financial picture or your annual revenues is around $251,000 to $1 million in annual sales.
And I would say that's probably one of the most stressful places because you
Yes.
up till 250, you can feel successful. You left your job, you're running your full-time business, and you have maybe a small little team, and
Mm-hmm.
you're able to like have your hands on everything.
Yeah.
You don't really need to outsource. You could read a book and implement stuff, and it's like, look at me, look at how smart I am. And
Right.
then but you're stressed out because you're working like all the time.
All the time.
And you're
Yeah.
like, it's like that joke I heard. It said you stop working a 9 to 5 job to be an entrepreneur to work 24/7.
Right. That's the life.
That's literally the life until
That's
you're
the
at
life.
250.
Yeah.
But whenever you get to 250, it's like whenever you're there, you feel successful. And so then you're like, you know what? I think I could take this thing to 1 million. But you cannot do it yourself. So we
Right.
always see people are trying to do it themselves for a little while until they have that burnout experience.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, I need help. Who do I need? And they start trying to build a team, but they don't really know how to build a team. So they go through a lot of bad situations. And
Yeah.
that's the crazy time where they can really lose heart on their vision. And so we see a lot of people in that phase.
Yeah.
And that's totally normal. And so if anybody's listening to this, hey, we've helped tons of people in that area.
That's right. And the third level of entrepreneurship and typical client that we've worked with as doing marketing campaigns for and doing consulting for is the CEO level. This is where you have you're focused on developing systems and you're focused on scaling. And so at this phase, you're sort of past the overwhelm and you're getting to a place of stability. You're increasing your skills at being able to create standard operating procedures, at being able to hire the right people for job roles in your company, and then train those people well so that you can duplicate yourself. In every department, duplicate yourself with a new person so that you can focus on eventually getting to that place where you're able to work on growing the business and working on the business and spend less time working in the business.
And I would say this is a big emotional area too, because if you have a person that started a business because it was their passion,
Mm-hmm.
and then they grow, and then now they have to be a CEO and a leader, well,
Yes.
that's completely different. And you see that a lot of times when somebody has a passion, little side boutique business, and they love baking, or they love making something, or they love doing the service and talking to people. But then, well, now it's like being the car salesperson who is the great salesperson, but then gets promoted to sales manager.
Yes.
And then now they just don't like their job, and now
Right.
they're at seminars trying to find another job. And really, they just really love selling cars.
Right.
And so it's the same thing in entrepreneurship. If you have a $1 million company and up, you are going to have to be a leader. You're going to have to run those teams, and then that brings on all kind of other responsibilities. And it's just every level. It's totally fine. It just takes a new level of personal growth. And that's what's so fun,
Yeah.
because many times people think it's just the income, but it's not. It's also the time management. It's the personal growth management. It's the relationship management. All those things, that's what excites me. And that's what makes the whole journey so fun.
Right. Yes. So let's move on and let's talk just briefly why we're doing the show like now. And so just starting off that conversation, some of the things that we that spurred on now and that we're really excited and passionate about getting this going now is that, man, we find ourselves in a global pandemic that is soon to become an endemic, and that has resulted in historic layoffs. And it has also, which is near and dear to our heart, has resulted in historic business closures and potentially just hundreds of thousands of displaced entrepreneurs who were maybe in brick and mortar businesses, who were maybe getting something started, and because of the overnight lifestyle change of hundreds of millions of Americans, let alone billions of people around the world, the temporary changes or the quick changes that happened with people made it less likely that they could start and grow the business that they may have been in, the industry that they were in at that particular time. And so they saw a crash in their business when they were just getting started. We know a lot of stories where that type of scenario has taken place.
And many times people will think, well, it's just my fault, when really you have to think about the fact that if you're in a national or a worldwide crisis, there's always going to be, when you're an entrepreneur, things outside of your control, like a whole industry, like when the fax machine marketing changed. People who helped built businesses based on that overnight saw their businesses go, it's just, you can't do it anymore. Right. So what do? And those are the types of things that take entrepreneurship and make big emotional blows. How do you keep going? How do you not completely, bottom out whenever things beyond your control happen, like a recession? Yeah. So that's why we're here, because that's all we've ever worked in, is situations where the world changed. I mean, we started our adult life in the after effects of 9/11. And
we have been working in the digital marketing world.
Yeah, and
literally, whenever I got started in 2008 as a direct response copywriter, I was writing phone book ads. That became irrelevant like within a year.
Yeah, and people, are wanting to know how to do things online. Yeah. And then other people are not wanting to, don't even want to accept it. Right. And so the whole digital marketing landscape is something that is constantly changing. And so being an entrepreneur, you have to accept the fact that things are going to change. It may be your industry, it may be the world, it may be your family. I mean, we've had so many clients that have had, deaths in the family, or changes in their just, everything about their life. What do you do about the business? Yeah. That is what we've been dealing with, because whenever you get hired by someone to help with their marketing, it touches everything. It touches their finances, personal, business. It touches how they run everything. And so we've been back there with people in the thick of it and helping get results. And so we understand that, and that's why we're here. And I think one big thing with all these people, some people quitting their jobs, some people getting laid off, it's just that people are getting time to think and getting a chance to just take a step back and say, I may have built this business and it may be successful, but maybe I don't want to do it anymore. Maybe I want to move. I don't have to be here anymore. And that is kind of what we're seeing, is that everybody's not some people things are going okay, but they just deciding to do something different. And so instead of being in the steady, what they were already doing, they're having to figure out how to make that change. And so I think what the pandemic is showing us is what we've always seen, is that change is inevitable and you have to manage change. And so that takes a lot of emotional and strategic and technical skill set.
That's right. Some of the other trends that we're seeing, that we've been seeing, some of these predated the pandemic, but the pandemic just helped sort of intensify.
It accelerated. The pandemic, that's what I've seen most with people. It's, I was already dissatisfied and now I'm just like done. And it's just an accelerator.
Yeah. Here's one of those things: stagnant wages.
Oh yeah, that was already there.
Yeah. The gig economy. These two things, the pandemic is only going to accentuate these things. The growth of the gig economy, which means less companies are willing to commit to providing good salary. Less companies are willing to provide 401k and health insurance and all of those things that come along with a good salary package. And more are willing to take on part-time workers, and more are willing to take on gig workers. That means there's less good jobs in the job market, which forces more people into the place of seeing and learning from some folks like us, people who can help them develop a side business, a side hustle, or just go full-time into entrepreneurship, because man, as an employee, for a lot of people, millions of people, it's just not worth it. The
Because I remember
opportunities are
whenever
far and few between.
yeah, when we got started, it was a big deal, like to be an entrepreneur, and people would be like, "What? You don't want to just get, this career and just stay at a company for 30 years?" Because that's what we grew up being told. You go to college, you get a job, and then you're there and you retire, and that's you get your pension and all that. Are they even offering pensions anymore?
Right.
I mean, if they are, it's not for anything that you really or anybody's really trying to do too much.
Right.
And so it used to be that companies were offering these good packages, and it was the smart thing to do to get them. And like you're saying, they're just not even offering them anymore.
Right.
So the whole climate has changed.
And yet, particularly, I mean, I remember like a few months ago, we were on our way to a date, and you were on Indeed, and you just read this colleague's job ad.
Oh yeah, I wanted to tell you, like, they're like, okay, you need to have years experience doing this. It was basically like 10 different jobs of experience you need to have, and the wage was like so low. And I was like,
did they even offer a salary? Like,
no, I don't even think they even said the salary.
No.
I was reading it to you for comic relief.
Yeah.
Like, look at all you have to do now to have a full-time position. When it used to be, you go, you get a skill, and then you go do that.
Right.
And I mean, people back in the day could get a high school education, get on at the plant, or get on, teaching or something after they get their certifications and everything, and have a career doing something.
Right.
Now, everybody has to be like 5 things.
Right.
And everybody has to be like that. And everybody has to realize that they are their own stability. Yeah. You cannot depend on a company to provide stability for you. And now the companies aren't even offering it. So you're not even being, unique anymore.
Yeah.
You need to get with the program if you think, and you're going to have any kind of, steadiness.
Right.
And so you have to understand your skill set. You have to learn your personal finance, and you have to have an overall vision for your life.
Yeah. And to add to all of this, the stagnation of wages, the growth and proliferation of the gig economy, and the shrinkage and the extinction of the quote unquote good job, you have this pandemic has really brought on this issue of massive inflation.
And I mean, when you look at the fact that you have the stagnant wages, and that was already there. Right. And then with all this inflation and everything's more expensive, and then you have the fact that you need all these different positions and skill sets and everything, that is causing a lot of anxiety for people.
Yeah.
Because you can't just get your position, live your life. Now the cost of doing everything, food is up, housing. I mean, here in Dallas, housing is crazy.
It's crazy.
I mean, healthcare. People have so many student loans because they bought that story of go to college, invest in yourself, and just pay whatever for an education to come out and get these jobs that don't even exist.
Right.
And if they exist, they don't pay.
Right.
And then childcare. I mean, when you have kids, and that's a big deal in the pandemic. Women got hit hard. A lot of women disproportionately got hit in the pandemic and have had to be at home with kids, have had to figure out how to, school their kids with the school system. And those are things, I mean, because we homeschool, so we were already set up for that. Right. But I mean, it's a big deal. So a lot of people are looking to launch things just to be able to have the money to survive at the level they were surviving at before the pandemic.
That's right. And, whether you wonder, you ask the question of whether or not this inflation will soon decrease. Well, I was reminded of this verse in Revelation 6, verse 6, Revelation 6:6, that says, "And I heard a voice from among the 4 living beings say, a loaf of wheat bread or 3 loaves of barley will cost a day's pay. And don't waste the olive oil and wine." A loaf of bread will cost a day's pay. Listen, that could be where we're going. So if you're wondering long term whether or not this issue of inflation and food costs and whether job wages are going to catch up with the inflation that's going on in the economy, Bible verse seems to suggest that it won't necessarily be getting any better in the future. So this could be the trend that we have to learn to live with. And if we have to learn to live with this, then we're going to need advanced strategies. We're going to need better ideas of how we can make above average income in order to afford a decent life.
And we have to do it without killing ourselves.
Without killing ourselves. Right. That's right. That's the life part. That's the life and launches, right? In the Life and Launches podcast. So I have enjoyed this first episode of this show. In the very next episode, we don't want you to miss out, because we're going to share the 4 big marketing mistakes most entrepreneurs make that kill their dreams, and an easy way to avoid them and easily generate multiple 6 figures in income with no money, no risk, and very little time. You think we're blowing smoke? Tune in to find out for yourself.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Life and Launches podcast. If you like the show, join our mission of inspiring a new generation of entrepreneurs. You can help us by leaving a 5-star review, sharing what you like about the podcast, and then tell friends and family about this show. Be well, and we'll see you in the next episode.